All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. And I think we are all set and good to go. So, as always, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. This is Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is March 28th, 2022. Happy Monday, and as always on Monday, we start with a very simple overview of the SPX. We're looking at the weekly expected move for the week of April 1st, and the rationale behind this this overview is to get a sense of how volatile do we expect the market to be? What is the option market pricing for the week? Does it see some binary risk, or is that volatility starting to reduce? And then, of course, if we see an opportunity there, we'll talk about it in different ways to evaluate that opportunity throughout the week. So looking back at last week, the S&Ps continued their sort of bullish drift. We did have a potential trend change on the Tuesday to Wednesday session. We talked about how the hourly uptrend was a very strong guide for the SPX. And so far, that hourly uptrend has been recovered. The market was able to turn from that possible trend change. And so far, the bullish flag scenario kind of continues from that potential trend change. So last week during that upward move, the markets were pricing in about a 106-point expected move. It gave us an upside target of about 45.70 for the week. The actual move was a bit less. We got about 82.9 points in the SPX, so about 78 to 80% of the total range of the expected move. Now, this week, kind of an interesting continual reduction in volatility. This week's expected move is priced in at about 88.62 points for the entire week. And what that does is it puts our expected move at about 46.32 to the top side and 44.54. Now, as we've discussed, this is not support and resistance. It's more or less the market risk profile for the week. And this is where option volatility can exacerbate certain moves in the market. If we see relevant breaches, or if we see just sort of a continual drift in one direction, instead of pulling back into the expected move, you can often see pretty violent breakouts, or something as significant as these like 3 sigma events in the market, where we move 2 to 3 times the expected move for the entire week. There's a plenty of dynamics describing why that can happen, and it's mostly about knowing when can it happen and what is the signal for that event. But when I look at these particular price ranges, one thing is kind of calling out as some interesting things to consider. For one, if we continue to see this upside drift, what that'll do is put the SPX in a position to have a very mild weekly breakout. Now, when I say weekly breakout, I'm more or less saying the most recent weekly swing high. And this is the weekly swing high that forced the market to make a weekly swing low. So it technically still has that tone of resistance in the market. And if we want to mark off that exact price, it's about 45.95. So the 4,600 is kind of becoming in focus as the market continues to climb. Additionally, if I look at the lower bound of this expected move, it puts us right below the sell swing from last week. So essentially, whatever scenario occurs this week, if we see testing of the upper bound or the lower bound, there's sort of this implication that we're going to be testing weekly resistance, which would be a very impressive feat for the market to do after such a major correction. And if we see a downside test, what we'll be doing is almost trapping some of the more bull flag participants of the market, the people who are potentially FOMOing in to this move and trying to get some of that upside exposure. Because if we lose this swing low, it forms the structure of a potential head and shoulders. And we'll look at that on the SPY in just a moment. But for now, obviously the expected move is mostly about risk. It's about opportunity as well, maybe expecting smaller price movement this week. And if we see breaches, that's going to be where our technical signals, along with the expected move being compressed, potentially provides a bigger directional opportunity, something akin to a larger than average move for the market. So just kind of shifting back into the SPY, and what you can see is that we're coming into this major zone of resistance, just kind of narrowing things down into the weekly. We can mark off things like historical swing highs, which coincide quite well to some of the upper range support that the market had. Or we could just say that this double top or this weekly tweezer setup is an area for the market to consider another sell swing. And as we are climbing into it, one thing to notice is throughout the week, we really haven't had much in the way of a challenge by the bears. So it tells us that this trading range for the SPY is not where heavy selling pressure tends to form. It apparently is more likely to form higher up in the range. And as we start to climb into this 460 print, this market may be ready to provide that first sign of resistance. But until then, what we have is our short-term guide, our hourly uptrend, which once again was recovered from last week's sort of a potential pivot. We also have the market climbing into another area of potential interest, and this is that Fibonacci 61.8 retracement. So once again, just kind of marking that from last week. As the market is climbing into about 453, this is going to be that first spot to keep on watch. If there's sort of a fib reaction here, a rejection of the 61.8, this can lead to a little bit of short-term volatility back to the downside. And once again, just looking for scenarios here, this structure, at least in the bull flag scenario, has potential to become a head and shoulders. What would need to happen is we would need to reject this most recent, I would say, breakout, or this most recent buy swing in the market. Market would have to pull back down to about 445, and then of course the right shoulder of that structure would have to form. This would be an interesting spot for it to form as well, because we are back at the 200-day. Now, 200-day is not necessarily a major rejection point so far in the SPY, but we have seen sell swings form next to this moving average, more likely with the 20 and 200 cross acting as some signal for resistance. Unfortunately, we are not in that position anymore. The 20 and the 50 are starting to slope back up. The 200 so far is not a key resistance point. We just got that first sort of hourly trend change around this area. And as we're climbing into the upper bounds of resistance, this will be something that on the week might be a little challenging to trade around. We might have some pretty powerful, strong morning sessions. We might get some rollover type days where we sort of break VWAP and start selling. And additionally, it puts any oversold condition in the market a bit at risk, because when you think about it, some of the best oversold plays, let's say you're looking at hourly RSI, you're kind of finding a strong area of the market, and that first sell swing could be a little challenging, but when it gets oversold, tends to have significant bounces. From a percentage standpoint, you can actually get some really good risk to reward trading done from those sort of scenarios. But if the market has been in a strong recovery off of a correction bottom, a rejection especially as we start to get more and more oversold, becomes questionable because the downside risk right now is all the way back to approximately that 200-day moving average. So it kind of brings into focus a little bit of strategy consideration. As an oversold trader, maybe like an intraday reversal trader, you might want to be cautious around maybe like the first 1 or 2 selling days of the market. If we get them, the downside risk is that this can pull down for a couple of days, set up at what is now sort of a in-range support, and then from there form the bounce that would essentially be the right shoulder of a head and shoulders. So all this said, market continues in its uptrend. The NASDAQ is something to watch this week. For one, we are sitting below the 200. This market has recovered quite well, but it still has quite a bit of work left to do in order to get to that similar resistance zone. And once again, depending on where you mark this off, this potentially still has some move left in it before we see heavier selling. The idea being this market has recovered, but it hasn't recovered the same percentage retracement as the S&P. If you're marking from all-time highs, we're basically at about the 45% level. And if you're marking from some of the sell swings that started this year, we're basically at about 50%. So this is one of those questionable areas for the NASDAQ. The recovery has been quite strong, and especially the speed of the recovery. I think that's always the most surprising part of any correction bounce. But as we climb, we are getting back into resistance zones. This gap is of particular importance, and just the interplay between some of the daily candles here. Not just because this is where the market sold, but look at what happened when we got into this zone. There was an up day, and then there was a gap down, and then the next day we bounced off of the lows and made it all the way to the top side, and then we sold off again, and then we had a gap up. So it's very challenging weekly trade in this area, outside of the fact that it is also resistance. So for those plays this week, keep an eye on some of the drivers of the NASDAQ, and we'll look at a few today that are starting to become in focus. For one, we might get some back and forth because of sort of that relative strength in different areas. But for two, there's still a lot of recovery left to do in some of these names, and that potential for upside might still provide the power needed for the Qs to keep climbing. And then last but not least, the IWM. I wanted to bring this one up because we haven't been too focused on it, but as far as what the chart is telling me, so far the IWM is sitting on a downtrend retracement line that broke bullish. So regardless of what's going on, regardless of what the market wants you to think, if you purely look at this chart, what we're doing right now is setting up a possible bull flag. Now, the downside retracement after topping out is always something to consider. But if the IWM starts to go bullish here, and we're seeing that 38.2 is kind of the defense line for bulls in the bull flag structure, we also have a retracement breakout. And remember, the rest of the market broke out of its retracement a little earlier than the IWM. The IWM has been trading sort of in its range for a bit longer. Didn't have as severe of sell swings, but also was coming off of all-time highs back in November. So it started selling sooner. And more recently, the correction has been a bit more range trading. We have a low, we have a high, and this high of the market coincides with our massive trading range, the one that was set last year. So keep an eye on this because everything about the longer time frames is still basically pointing down. You know, there's still some weakness. The moving averages are not in our favor. But short term, if we're looking purely at what just happened, we're outside of the downtrend. We're outside of where the selling pressure starts and usually where the market makes significant sell swings. So if this market can push and maybe get some sort of clear signal to break this bull flag, the upside potential here is that we're getting back to VPOC. VPOC has been established. This market has an upper bound and a lower bound distribution range. This is just where transactions have been occurring. And if we're starting to push away from this value zone, the only really thing I see as far as upside value is back at VPOC. That's that sort of gravity zone that the market continues to test. So short term, there's some interesting setup in the IWM. And it's one of those things that kind of questions the bear scenario in the market a bit. Why is the IWM postured strong? And if it continues that posture, why is there this rush to what is essentially a more risk-on style of a index? So very interesting. I like the setup here. I'm just waiting to see how this flag resolves. So as far as what's going on today, just kind of circling back to some plays today, it's worth talking about crude. Crude has started off the session this week down. We're looking at about 107 inside of /CL. Wanted to highlight some of these ranges. These are pre-established ranges back in time. So crude has a lot of inflection around this upper print of about 115. You could even mark off some of this double top action on the monthly, and that brings you to around 110. So the crude market, from a technical sense, is kind of testing some pretty significant monthly resistance, and we're doing it from an oversold condition. You know, essentially, if you were able to catch this move, we're back at where the market started to have some trouble advancing. And what we have from a charting perspective is a bit of a parabolic top that has yet to really be corrected. So while crude continues to be in focus, there's plenty of geopolitical reasons to think that crude is going higher. Short term, the chart is not highly advantageous for the longs. We have another sort of like testing zone to get back above. And once again, this parabolic nature of the market often takes a while to resolve, which can lead to a lot of back and forth play. It essentially means that I don't expect the volatility to go down too much, but from a directional sense, it's more about risk to reward. You're higher risk as you get into this resistance, and the lower risk sort of buy zones tend to be back at support. So just kind of watching this as we fluctuate from potentially about 110, 115, and hopefully, you know, kind of seeing crude back off a bit for some bullish play in the rest of the market. Another thing to keep on watch, natural gas. We did have some interest last week in natural gas plays. There's a bit of a momentum play going on in many natural gas stocks. I'm not going to bring up a bunch of them, but just a couple of examples of what that looks like. This is EQT. It's a massive rally in this case, and it's a big component of the oil and gas exploration ETF, which is the XOP. XOP did break bullish last week. Friday was a very strong close. This has a mixture of energy names, but it has more nat gas, it has more pipeline, it just has a bit of more of a blend than XLE, and it's a bit more equal weighted. So if there's relative strength in a multitude of natural gas stocks, that is going to look much more strong on this ETF compared to XLE, where you almost need to have Chevron and Exxon being the players. You know, this is more equal weighted. It's not perfectly equal weighted, but it's closer. XLE is market cap weighted. So XOM and CVX are about 45%. If those stocks are not really moving, the XLE is going to struggle because the rest of them have to be negating the move. So natural gas, keep that one on watch. That might be something that will be in focus this week. And similar to what we saw, if we can identify some key names that have good day trade and possibly swing trade opportunity, those are stocks that you might want to keep on your watch list. Moving back into the major market caps, we have Tesla. News of another potential stock split, bidding this stock higher. We have a pretty massive sort of bull pennant breakout on the daily. You can see the consolidation around 1,000. That was maybe indicative of some of the option market back on Thursday and Friday. We've broken that bullish. And of course, what this looks like is we have another expansion of range. We'll kind of wait and see how the bulls react to it this morning. But so far, Tesla continues its uptrend. And if you look at the size of the move in Tesla, because it was a bull flag, you can't argue those points. Look at the extension here and start to think about potential if this market does confirm the target of a bull pennant. It's very simple, just pattern recognition here in regards to potential upside for Tesla if this really starts to trend. So keep all that on watch as we see what the reaction is this morning. Counter that with Apple. And if we look short term here, we are testing the hourly uptrend. We've lost 20-period support. Apple had a sell swing in the pre-market. We're back testing it right now. So Apple has the potential to start to lose some altitude. But once again, this is the first hourly signal that we've gotten ever since the bottom was placed in Apple. It's indicative to show this because it shows what kind of strength Apple has had. This has been an hourly uptrend that every single session, someone who's participating could have bought the hourly 20 and basically seen potential upside. This is the first time where that pattern has been broken. So it's worth paying attention to it because we might get a bearish move in Apple today. And that would sort of counter some of the S&P advance that we just discussed. Let's see. And I think last but not least, I have one more thing I wanted to cover. Oh, volatility. So if I'm bringing up expected move, it's worth bringing up volatility. I think it's worth also just kind of discussing this week over week because last week and a half, ever since we lost the 30 print in the VIX, the volatility has been in a downtrend. It's reflective of the move in the S&P. You can almost counter the chart and you'll see that it's a pretty clean inverse, at least over the past week and a half. Whenever we are back at these levels for the VIX, I do want to start paying attention because one, we could say that we're at support. The VIX likes to form bases around 20. We've seen some pretty violent upthrusts in volatility off of the 20 print. And when we look at the volatility futures, this is a similar scenario. They're sort of back at their starting point. The market has reset in some ways, but the market location is slightly different. You could argue that, during some of the, the weekly highs in the S&P, volatility was located at different prices. While we've seen a collapse, I would also say that the market pricing is skewed slightly. And short term, what I'd be interested in is, one, this market's back in regular term structure. It's back in contango. All of that volatility got sucked out of the market. A lot of maybe poor location shorts are now out of the market, maybe waiting for a second attempt to short the S&P or just short the weakest sectors across the board. But If we're not seeing any signals, remember that you're still anticipating a move. Some of the best signals we've seen for downside in the S&P has been volatility expansion, whether that looks like flattening of the short-term volatility futures, whether that looks like the VIX coming off of 20, whether it looks like the VVIX, which is more of a volatility acceleration. The idea here that if you're buying up volatility products, you should see this chart rising. And that's essentially saying that they're willing to pay premium to have volatility. That's usually in a case of a bigger move in the future. Anytime I see this chart back down to 110, 100, it's basically the starting point for a move. If it wants to spark up from here, this is the area to do it. But until we see that, the bullish drift in the market that we have so far can continue for quite a while. We'll definitely be looking at resistance. We'll be looking at what stocks are trying to maybe form the bearish case in the S&P. But short term, we need these signals. We need these events to occur. And that's going to give us the right risk profile, potentially the right strategy to use, along with expectation. We could sell the S&P, come back to 425, and that still is essentially a higher low in a much larger trading range. That might give us a different strategy as opposed to just playing all out bearish and looking for the S&P to break 410. So, kind of keep this on watch this week. This is what's in focus. Definitely think nat gas is going to be in focus this week, as well as crude. Last but not least, we do have some volatility in crypto. I'm going to just kind of quantify it as saying Bitcoin is in a weekly breakout scenario. And if I look at the total cryptocurrency market cap over the past month, we've been in an uptrend. We've seen some interest returning to the market as a whole, not just Bitcoin, but across different products. Ethereum, very nice sort of pennant breakout and continuation. Lots of interest in certain projects. So the market's starting to turn here, and we're seeing riskier assets actually break out. If that continues, the market's appetite across the board might be starting to change right before our eyes. And what we need to do is understand that that appetite change or that sentiment change can last for a long time when you come off the lows. One good example here is what's occurring in the MJ space, another risky sector, but some news and catalyst driving this event, and some of the highest volume and confirmation we've seen in a long time. So keep an eye on this. Market is starting to get a little bit risk, I would say negligent, and that can lead to some big opportunity. But when that changes, that can also lead to another sell swing. So we have to play what's in front of us first before we anticipate the next move. So as always, trade safe, stay tuned for pre-market prep, and we'll talk more next session. We'll be looking at bonds and bond yields a little bit more this week. And as always, we'll talk more then.
Is having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible weekend. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm hanging in there. I am under the weather. I'm going to apologize in advance. I feel like garbage. I stayed in bed a little
Oh,
longer than
yeah.
normal. So if I cough, I will try to mute.
I know the
But
feeling, my
my
friend.
research is not quite up to par of what it usually is, but I'll do the best I can. It's kind of an easy-ish morning to call it out anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, man. Hopefully you get better soon. Whatever's going around had me last week. I'm still to the point I'm still coughing. Hopefully, not as bad as last week, but yeah, it's a pain. So much hopefully you get some good rest today
thanks,
and able to
everyone.
bounce back, man. Guys, let's get to it. Today's Gappers list. After a very nice week last week, we're seeing a couple of things in here. We're seeing a couple of the Bitcoin stuff up this morning. We know, as Jerry mentioned just a few minutes ago, we know the POS sector had a nice little bounce last week as well, with some news and some catalysts on there. I'm seeing a lot of that stuff in the red this morning, so we'll dig into what's happening there. But we saw some really good pops last week on all those stocks. BYND making the list this morning, down 6.2. So we'll check into that one for sure. Have not seen them in some time on this list, and we'll look some of our favorites that I'm not seeing on here yet, like Baba, Neo, some of the Chinese stocks that have been very active in the last couple of weeks as well. So with that said, let's get into a little bit of the overall market and what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, we've got all the underlying macro stuff still going on that we've discussed recently: inflation, interest rates, Ukraine, all that. This morning, the main movers, Bitcoin or crypto in general, up a little bit, causing a lot of those Mara, Can, Riot, Bucket, all those to be on our list. XPEV had earnings, so that's had a couple. I've seen a couple of the EVs moving. China up just a little bit, and then oil down. They are shutting down portions of China, Shanghai sections of the city a week at a time. So that's got people concerned a little bit about demand on oil and such. We just had trade and goods come out at 8:30. Not really doing much in the market. Yeah, so that's it.
All right, should be definitely interesting, guys. All the news coming out this week, that's for sure.
Harry,
Um, where's
Harry just
Harry?
memed me. You look in the chat.
Yes, I
I'm gonna have
mean,
to save that one, brother.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, I'm actually saving it right now. For those on YouTube, we will share this with you. Um, this is it right here. I mean, it's madness. I saw that clip this morning. I had to watch it like 3 times. Uh,
I've
insane.
I don't know that I've ever seen a man slap another man. It's not usually.
No, not on high quality programming, if you want to call that
I
high
mean, just
quality. um, Guys, let's get to it. We'll remove our stuff from last week here. We'll get rid of this. Control A, Control X gets rid of that. And let's hop over to our list. We'll start with the top five on the gap up, top five on the downside, and then we'll take it to the room. Starting here with Poly this morning. Oh, one thing we forgot to do here is link our trade ideas. As we get back into the groove here this Monday morning, we'll get rid of this here, and we will add trade ideas just like that. There we go. All right, excellent. Get rid of this, bring this down, and now we click on Poly, and that should work. There we go.
trashed
Poly,
it. It's a
oh,
buyout,
yeah,
cash
yep,
buyout
yep,
from HP.
yep. We'll move on down here. Mara this morning. So again, we got a couple of the Bitcoin stuff up today. I see Mara, Raya, and a few others. Might be worth taking a look at. Maybe it's a possible. Again, their daily has been pretty good here. They ran up pretty nice from some of the lows of last week or the week before. So that's decent. If you look at Mara here, you can see the nice base they've been doing over the last couple of months, really. Actually, the last month and a half, around 21. Now you're seeing a kind of a breakout of this channel here, so that's good. We'll see if that can maintain there for Bitcoin. So we'll keep it down. Mara, CAN, and others are something you could look at. Riot as well. I'm just gonna just keep Mara since those are all in the same sector. Let's go down a little bit further. We'll look at Bucket here, which is typically not one that I keep on deck. It is up 6%, but I am not liking this
If you're
chart
gonna
at
play
all.
Bitcoin, I'd agree that Mara or Riot are
Yeah,
probably your better bet.
yeah, right. Bucket is Bitcoin as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably one of the worst ones actually. Now that you put it in like that. Here's Tesla, guys. Definitely in play this morning. This thing is ripping. 1.2 million shares traded, up 5.5. Norm, latest and greatest on this one today. I know you might not have it, but
Stock split. They're
yeah,
talking about a stock split to.
yeah.
I didn't understand the way it was phrased. Like I said, I haven't read as much as I normally would. I know they're talking about a split, and it was so that they can give a dividend, which I don't know why your price would have any bearing on whether you can give a dividend or not. But
Yeah.
anyway, we know what happened. What was it last year when splits were announced on stuff and things? Tesla, the last time it split, just ramped into the split. So
Yeah.
while a split really has no bearing on the value of a share of the stock, you're just getting 2 for 50 instead of 1 for 100, for example. People like it.
People like it. I guess psychologically, they feel like they're getting a deal. But it's pretty much the same thing. But I could see how that can play out through some traders. Tesla guys definitely play. We'll keep an eye on. Here's XPEV. Now XPEV is earnings. When is it?
They announced this morning.
Oh, they announced this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got some movement here on XPEV, which you're seeing a higher than usual volume, 1.1 million. So worth watching. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on you guys know Neo. Neo has been really good last week. We got a couple of nice pops and drops there towards the downside and the upside after it hit $12, now hanging around 21 or so. Good volume today, 1.4 million so far. They had earnings last week and didn't do as good. The following day, they had the nice gap down there. So we'll see XPEV right now not looking as bad. So maybe their earnings or their future guidance a little bit better, but looking good this morning. I'm going to add Neo as a secondary for now. We can always fine tune this a little bit later. And then we have Billy. We have a couple of Chinese stocks here. I'm going to skip right to Baba, guys. Baba has been just incredible, at least for the last 2 weeks. Last couple of days hasn't been all that great. But it definitely got something going on there. So that'll be my Chinese stock for today, unless something else looks a little bit better. I mean, I know NIO is a Chinese stock, but they're most heavier on the EV stuff, I think, to the last couple of days with them reporting, expert reporting. We'll see how that plays out. Let's see what's gapping down today, guys. SE, I believe, is not a great intraday trading stock. I believe their volume is very, very light, and you can see it here. It's just, again, it's not great. 8 million. They had one day here where they hit 39. Outside of that, very, very low volume, and that's not good for us in the way we trade. Spread is actually for a second there was not bad. Now it got pretty bad, 50 cent plus. Yeah, so we'll skip on this one. HUSA, some of the oil stocks here this morning, you know which one we're looking at. It's going to be Oxy, guys. Oxy is the one that trades the most, the cleanest. Right now, not doing a whole lot, but sometimes you just got to wait for this one to hit the bell, after the bell. At times, their pre-market doesn't do much, and then the overall sector will start moving in a direction. Oxy could be a good one to follow suit and to take a couple of trades on. BYD, guys, what's going on here? So
it's just trading down with the rest of the oil and gas stocks.
BYD?
Yeah.
Oh, why? Why would the gas?
I don't know. I have never had it, but I've heard it tastes like West Texas Intermediate crude.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's just they're getting the oil at a much higher.
No, Beyond the Meat. Beyond the Meat is they got downgraded out of Piper Sandler, reduced their price target from 50 to 29 with an underweight rating, talking about growing competition. So.
If you were not paying attention before that, you sure are now. So hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very, very much.
You guys thought I'd lost my mind.
I looked over like, wait a minute, Norm? But yeah, we're good here. BYND, guys. Again, down 6.8. Definitely in play today. We'll keep an eye on it. BYND. We'll add it right on here, guys. Could be a hit or miss. Might actually end up, by the time we're done today, there's a few on here that look pretty good. By the time we're done, I don't think BYD is going to be hanging out here with us at the top. Some of the pot stocks that did have a pop up last week, Tilray, we had CGC, all did very well. They're down slightly, but if you look at their overall move, you know they're definitely still.
They're starting to ramp a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Really heavy volume. CGC is the one I'm particularly looking at. I'm not a huge fan of trading these. I know Jared has some luck on them, you know, and most of them are so low price now.
I know. I know.
I
It's just
just don't
crazy.
like trading stuff that's $8. So
Yeah, yeah. It's insane how we were trading this, and we haven't looked at these in some time. I mean, they haven't been really doing much. They were above 40 for the most part. Maybe you guys remember Cron, CORN, which I don't see in the gappers list much, and probably the reason why it's not doing much.
I'm not sure. Is it still around? I know some
It's
of these consolidated. Yes, it is still around.
yeah,
It doesn't come in the gappers because it's been under $5.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
keep up. There's been a lot of consolidation in that business. It's not a sector I really trade.
yeah. And the volume has been
So
probably the worst one here, as you can see, just not doing well at all. So CGC, I agree. We'll put CGC on here, guys, and then we'll put Tilray, another one you can also watch. These two seem to be the better ones that get a better volume and price action, at least for me, that I've seen recently. Excuse me. MUR this morning. This one is down 5.2, 133,000 shares traded. It just
oil.
looks so bad, guys.
It's
for
oil. If
me.
you're going to trade oil, trade
Yeah.
another oil.
Oh, this is oil. I haven't seen this one
Yeah.
pop up here. Murphy oil. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. So I don't like the way that's setting up there. SBSW. We know that's another one there that doesn't trade very well. Also foreign. JD. I like JD's daily. Just gonna add that one here, JD here, guys. I like the daily here, which is kind of slipping a little bit from this area support. Before that, we had a nice gap up from 46 over to 57. So I like this daily here this morning. We'll see where that leads up to today. All right, we'll stop here, guys. Let's take it over to Norm. What do you like this morning from anything that
I'm
we have
not trading today,
yet?
so just I'm sick, and I have rules against trading when I'm sick and when I'm on cold medicine. So throw it to the room.
I agree. Trading is all about making decisions, and when you're sick and not feeling well, guess what? You just don't make the best decisions. So let's take it to the room here, guys, and see what you guys got going on this morning. We'll start with Michael BHP. Again, I think for overall oil stuff, this is an oil company, right? I believe BHP, if I'm not mistaken, or am I confusing this with BPH? I think I am. Yeah, what is this company? I don't know what this is. Either way, not looking great right now. As far as pre-market action,
another mining stock out of Australia. They don't trade well.
Okay, yeah. So Michael, this one I won't put on the list. It's just not looking all that exciting right now. BYD definitely on deck, guys. So that is good. MU, and we saw this last week. I remember the ticker. I don't think we kept it on the list. Right now, you got some crazy volume, 16 million shares on it. Under $5. The fund seems to be a little bit over here. We do not have shares for sure. I don't want to be in this ride at all. I just don't like this stock for the way I like to trade. Moving on down, we have Apple. Jerry is mentioning Apple this morning. Apple's got good volume. They got 2 million shares traded. I mean, I think, is Apple going to put their first red day in? I mean, they're gapping down, which doesn't mean much. We gapped down plenty of times in the past and managed to end the day green. So, I mean, just look at this run. What is this, 10 days straight? It's just madness. Madness. I like Apple this morning. We'll see what it does here. Obviously, extended on the daily, might need a break, but it won't shock me if this thing manages. It'll need the huff in the market, of course. If it manages to end green today, it definitely won't shock me, but it'll need some help for sure. All right, what else we got going on, guys? That's it for our chat. Okay, very good. Let's head over to our YouTube chat. Okay, we got some stuff going on here. Let's take a look at Frankie giving us CVX this morning. Let's see, CVX. This is Chevron, I believe. And yeah, they again, they don't trade very well. I'm gonna go with Oxy today, guys. I think that's the one for me. Again, I'm not saying you cannot trade these. They are definitely, obviously, in the big picture, they've been in play, no question. Intraday trading, their volume is very light compared to like an Oxy, where you're getting, 50 million almost every day, I think, right on Oxy. Yeah, look at this. You're getting some really good volume on the daily, better movement. I'm gonna go with that one, and a much better spread as well, which is helpful for the way we trade. Martin, you're looking at Hut. Let's take a look here. Hut Mining, another mining company. My two mining are going to be, is this Bitcoin mining or oil mining? What are we talking about here? Bitcoin. Yeah, yes. I'll look at Mara and not Mara. Yeah, Mara and what's the other one I had? Another one here. Right. Yeah. Mara and Riot are the two that you can look at. They tend to get better volume, trade a lot better. I think they're just more popular when it comes to intraday trading. Okay, let's see what else we have here. JD. Yeah, JD, I have it on deck here. I have it as a possible, so I think JD is good. CKM. We'll take a look at that. That's not a ticker. I'm not sure what you meant there. So we'll skip on that one. Oxy is good. Yeah, Aaron, I have Oxy down here on my main list. This will be a good one for today. I like the daily as well. Down 2.5. Decent volume for the morning so far. Good morning, Dan. Netflix. Let's see here. Netflix. Let's see
I
what we
think
got
they're
going
just
on.
talking about the person that was
Oh,
spamming.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
No,
know
that,
that Netflix very. It doesn't look and play to me, but maybe they're actually talking about Netflix.
I'm checking it now. I'm not seeing a whole lot. I mean,
Yeah.
they're taking a hit here, pretty much consolidating. But I agree that not much going on at the moment. So, all right, guys. I mean, I don't think we need to search too far. I think today's list looks really decent for a Monday. I think we're set here, man. I think we're looking pretty good. Norm, as I am thinking about the I forgot to upload. If you send me something, I forgot to
I
upload the
did.
new announcements. You did. All right, I'm gonna just take. I know you can run down the weekly stuff. We'll go there first, and then I'm gonna try to upload this as soon as I can to get the latest and greatest. But I'll give you the screen for now.
Yep. All right. Monday, we won't have Brian this week. He is in Egypt, so won't be doing his swing trade discussion. He usually does at 2:30. Not quite sure. I can't remember when he's getting back, so maybe he'll catch us up later in the week, depending on when he returns. Tonight, you've got Carlos with onboarding at 7 p.m. and the technology webinar at 8 p.m. We'll get into a little more detail on those in a moment. Then trade reviews with Eamon at noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Success webinars on Tuesday night. Psychology webinars Wednesday night. Thursday is action-packed with the 11 a.m. mentoring session. I believe John's doing that this week. So no new trader Q&A as it's listed there. You can cover a little bit of that in there if you guys have any questions. Then mentorship with Ed at 4. If there are any good earnings plays, he'll be doing that at 4. And then the mentorship session starts at 4:30. Group mentorship with Thor at 8 p.m. Eastern. Crypto with Jared, 11 a.m. Eastern on Friday. As I mentioned, the onboarding class every Monday, 7 p.m. Doesn't matter what membership category you're in. Anybody that is in here can go to that. Technology tonight is with Artie, 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about how to utilize TWS for options trading. Then next week, we'll have Kyle doing a Dash Trader Pro question and answer. The strategy webinar for this week is Peter, 8 p.m., talking about how to calculate correct shares, how to figure out the right share size to trade with for yourself. It's very personal to everyone. And then next week, Jared will be talking about reversal trading reversals. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Mike will be talking about probabilities, how to trade in strategy sets. Next week will be Dr. Kenneth Reed talking about discipline and adaptability. All right. As I mentioned, the mentorship, Andrew, while he's trying to kill himself in the Sahara Desert, running a marathon each day for 6 consecutive days. John will be taking that over 11 a.m. Eastern on Thursday, and then Ed in the afternoon right after the market close for mentorship and Thor at 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget about stocktradingsimulator.com, our new web-based replay simulator where you can try out strategies for free. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a shot, use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll get you a discount off the intro membership, which is a one-time fee. Excuse me. I almost made it through. 1 week, and then it cancels itself after that. So,
All right, thank you very much, Norm. All right, guys, let's get to it, to our list here this morning. Again, I think we have pretty decent setup right now with Tesla, XPEV. We do have Baba on here as well. We have Oxy, the oil company I'll be looking at, BYD. We have CGC, and we also have Apple. So not a bad list. I really like Apple this morning. We're looking very active, and I like their setup so far. As far as the daily goes, let's take a look at the SPY. Pretty much doing what the SPY is doing at the moment. So we'll see. SPY's going red the last couple of minutes. Was red earlier on, popped up to the green. It has not liked what has been happening over the last 30 minutes or so. So let's get some levels in here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so way too many. I'm going to reduce this a little bit. I like Tesla today. XPEV is good. They had earnings this morning. Maybe Baba will be the one that we put to the side today. Oxy, BYND. Yeah, maybe we'll put Baba to the side today. Yeah, we'll bring this one down here. I do like Neo actually. Neo might end up moving up. See how things go. There it is, Baba Neo. We'll get this one out of the way, and that brings us down to 6, which is what I like to watch. All right, let's do some levels, guys. Right now, Tesla taking off, guys, up 5.5. I mean, this thing is just insane at the moment. 1079 is the high of the pre-market. Towards the bottom, plenty of levels here, guys. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. You do have this pop over here on 1040, looks like. So put a level there as well. Now heading back to the left here. Let's see, to the left. Okay, above this high of the pre-market. Got a couple of levels here on the daily that do look decent. We do have this one right here, 1115. And we got this pop all the way up here over at a 1206. So 1206, 1115. Again, these numbers are insane if we're able to do that, but we have done that plenty of times in the past. And obviously with everything going on here with the split, possible compensation of a split, the hype is definitely looking good for them today. 1170, another daily level on there as well. Towards the bottom, guys, you got plenty highs and lows from the last 2 trading days right in here between 1020 and about 980 or so. So that's Tesla, guys. Very active, 2 million shares already in the pre-market, up 5.5. Here is XPEV. XPEV is, I know it just had earnings, right? Reported this morning. We'll have to wait at the market open to see how the market is going to receive their earnings. I know Neo wasn't received as well last week. These guys are probably a little bit better, who knows? But they're stuck within this range still, even with this earnings report that just came out. So they're smack right in the middle of it. I would love to see this XPEF break out one way or another out of this range. I think you can get some really good movements, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Up 3% right now. High of the pre-market below the highs from two trading days ago. That would have been Thursday. We'll put this at 29. And then if we're to get out above that, we do have a level over at 30.20. And then above that, great level here, guys. So this is a nice one. Great area of support right on. This would be 33.87. And then towards the bottom, if we were to lose this one, this area here, which is 26.25, we held that level as support for a couple of times. As you can see on this daily, if we're to drop below that, we're probably going to be looking at 25. Seems to be a number where you got a little bit of support happening there. A couple of days hitting that opening, closing around that area. So that is good there. We'll take a look at Oxy now. Oxy's daily looks really good. Again, we just continue to come back to this, what is this, 57 area, right? We had major resistance. I don't know why that alarm is set because nothing happens at 8:55 for me. So here, guys, you can see here, great area of resistance, right? A lot of resistance happening there. We broke out of that. Now we've been having some support there the last 2 trading days. So we'll have to see how that's going to play out. Again, it loves that 57 level. To stay near it. Towards the bottom, we do have a level at 55, 59, and then towards the bottom here, another level at 53. So we'll see how this plays out, guys. Good volume right now. We know this one's going to be in play for a while, given how things are with gas and oil. Definitely my favorite one to watch as this continues to develop. Obviously, we have everything going on in the world. Here is BYD, guys. So they're down to 6.2. They could be a hit or miss. I mean, they're not the best intraday trading company. I like the fact that we lost this 48 level here. This is nice for me. So hopefully there's some opportunities I can build off of that. Low of the pre-market, 45.30 towards the bottom. Another good level here, decent, is going to be at 42, 42.54. And then obviously down here, you got a couple. You got 38.94 and you got 35.72. Guys, quick question. Is my screen flickering? On Yatsen? I see it once in a while. It's flickering. I don't know.
Yeah,
do not know
it's
why.
very randomly. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. It's just something I'll check after the show, but not now. So Tony Michelle was not the only one looking at that. 53.41 towards the top, guys, looking pretty good. Again, we'll see how this plays out. Usually not the best intraday trading company, but we'll have to see. And then high of the pre-market, let's put that down as well, 46.75. So that's BYD there for you. It's got some pretty good clear daily levels. I'll tell you that much, right? We just need more volume. This volume they're doing here, this under 5 million, it's just not going to do it. We need a lot more volume than that. CGC this morning, guys. Again, a couple of pot stocks last week. Actually, almost all of them, I think, popped up pretty good with some good volume. CGC is the one I'll be keeping an eye on. They're down today 6.4 overall, guys. Their run, they've been putting some strength in here. So not sure what that means today for them as far as this pullback they're getting on the daily. Are they, coming back and then gonna pop up? Who knows? We'll definitely be watching. At the moment, they're looking pretty good as far as levels towards the bottom, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. And right in here, we have a nice level, 841. You can see a couple of days on there slamming against that level there, support and resistance. And then you have your highs and lows from the last 2 trading days as well. Towards the top, in case we're able to head back into the green territory, we do have 908. And we do have this one all the way up here at 962. So 2 decent levels there towards the top as well. Here is Apple, guys. Apple, tons of volume today, 2.2 million. The most impressive thing about Apple.
Did you talk about their negative catalyst when this came up?
Apple?
Apple.
No, we didn't. Well,
they discussed they're going to make 20% iPhone SEs next quarter than originally planned due to concerns over Ukraine war and inflation.
Mm-hmm.
That is their lowest end model, I believe. That's their cheapy phone.
That's the plastic one or something.
Yeah, right? I don't know how much impact that'll have overall on their bottom line, but it does show they're at least having some kind of concern about it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how strong that catalyst is, but we'll see. It's actually affecting them now. We'll see at the market open how that's going to play out.
I'd imagine if they're thinking that on that model, that others might have pressure as well, or at least people might can be concerned about that. But we'll see.
Yeah, could be. 170, guys. Low of the pre-market, 170.73. We're just surrounded by the price action. I mean, the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. Again, the big picture here is just how impressive Apple has been from the lows of 150. Hanging around 172, 174 every day in the green. I'm betting this thing is gonna end green unless the SPY messes with it. I think this thing is gonna end green. It is just so strong, but we'll see towards the end here. 176, 71, good daily level there. If we can get into the green territory, you got a couple of there, 176, and then we have all the way up here, which again I think this will be a stretch, but just in case, 179.36. Towards the bottom, we do have the low of the pre-market also. The low of the last 2 trading days right on here. If we were to lose that, right, if we head the other direction, an area where we see not a major level support, but you see some touches on here as well. This 167, 65. So I got a couple of days are slamming against that. I'll keep that one on there as well. All right, guys, that's our list. I think we have pretty good watches for today. Even some good possibles. We know how great Baba has been last week. They're not doing much right now and kind of getting stuck into this range. And if volume starts dying down here on the daily, then it doesn't become any fun, right? But look, we've been trading less volume each day, so that's not good there, right? Neo could be a good one. I think this one might be one that we can keep a close eye on. We have Mara, Tilray, JD, and Rise. So I think we're looking pretty good this morning. All right, guys, I think we're all set. We're done extremely early, 9 a.m., which is good. We can relax now. And do we have anything that we can go over? Norm, anything that we missed that you like?
No, man. Like I said, I'm not trading today, so
I
don't feel well.
No, I agree 100%. I took a couple of days off last week as well towards the end, and that was a smart thing.
Credit's going to be out for a while. She's away doing some other stuff for a bit. So
let's get to some questions over from YouTube and our chat. We got a couple of minutes here before we get to our moderators lineup, which I see is starting to build up there with some other names that we have on our list as well. Let's take a look here. What do we have? Could you guys mention the levels in the description below? Sorry, logged in late. What level? What do you mean description below?
Not sure what you mean. Out all your levels that you just came up with, which
Oh, well, if
Yeah,
you should be able to rewind the video, the live
this is
feed.
true.
So if it, we got time. It's funny. On my YouTube videos, I try to comment to everybody, respond. There was this one comment from someone that says, "Oh, this from really old video that I did on CMEG review. Oh, this video is horrible. He's going too fast." And I'm thinking to myself, do you know that you can slow it down, you can pause, and you can watch this as many times as you need to, if it's too slow for you, if it's too fast for you. I didn't respond with that. I just,
I can see him saying that about Eamon, because Eamon's
oh,
talks like the Micro Machines guy, and
but
he intentionally
Eamon,
does his best to try to slow down. But I don't see that.
what I like about Eamon is when he gets excited about something, because
Yeah.
he loves trading. He loves, this is his stuff, man. He's into it. You could tell his passion for it. But when he gets excited, the speed kicks in.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. All right, what else? What else we got, guys? What questions can we answer here? Anything that you guys are looking at that has volume, looks good, maybe has a catalyst would be ideal. That we have not mentioned or looked at, or we can take an example out here.
Maria mentioned Logitech. They just don't have any volume this morning. It's not the greatest
Um,
trading ticker of all time. It's gapping up,
that is
but
Logi.
it just doesn't have volume.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Zen, for when it comes to the market, and this is important too, because I do mention this in my onboarding class, which we'll be having tonight. So if you haven't checked out the community, you could do pre-market 24. You could join us tonight at 7. I do mention this, that when you first start out, everything is running at 100 miles per hour. Bless you, Norm. You're looking at
Thanks.
the charts, the volume, the keeping up with the chat, the level 2. It's a lot of
Yeah.
information. When that market bell clicks or rings or whatever you want to call it, it's a lot to take in. I had this one person, it came over to us saying, I'm just, it's not sinking in. I'm not understanding some of the terminology. And when we looked into how long they've been with us, it was like 2 weeks. I'm like, wait a minute. This
Yeah.
is not an overnight thing, you know?
I use the analogy of two things. If you've ever been skydiving, it especially fits, but not everybody has, understandably. If you've ever ridden a motorcycle, it's similar, and that is the first time, like, everything is so overwhelming and moving so fast. Like, I remember the first time I ever jumped out of a plane, I felt like I was drowning. But after 10, 50, 100, 200 times, you could like feel like you could just read a book while you're falling.
Right, things slow
And the
down.
same
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
riding a motorcycle. No, it was with the parachute strap still on. Um, uh, the blinders, and it's a real thing. When you go at a high rate of speed, especially on a motorcycle, your peripheral vision starts to get lost, and you lose details in what you're seeing and thinking. And that same thing happens in trading. When you first start out, it's like you're going super fast because there's so much info. And over time, it becomes easier and easier to process. So
Yeah, I agree. And
book.
this happened to me when I was traveling. I did a trip from California to Vegas, and the speed limit is a lot different than it is here in the East Coast. East Coast here, you do 65, you do 70. You don't want to do more than 80. You'll get stopped. You get pulled over immediately. Over there, it's a little bit different. Everybody's heading down the road at 100 miles per hour. And at first, when you're doing 100 miles per hour, 90 miles per hour, it seems so fast when you're not used to it. After an hour, 2 hours in, when we slowed down to 60, I felt like I was crawling.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with trading, guys. Give yourself time as you spend time in the chat room, time within in the community, with the videos, with the classes, screen time. Things are going to slow down, and they're gonna be easier to understand and read. So be patient with the process. Same thing with our pre-market show. This is why Norm and I created the pre-market show. So to help, we might sound like we're going fast at first, but the more you watch it, you kind of understand the flow of things, and it's gonna start to sink in. All right, guys, let's see. Let's take a look. What else do we have here? What other questions can we get into? 906 at the moment. Our spy currently in the red, trying to get a little bit of a base going on here. So we'll see. 452 right now seems to be an area that has spent a little time here, as high as 453.85. We'll see if this thing wants to go into the green. Carlos, I am bullish on Apple, although I don't like trading it. It's at the bottom of an important channel. Yeah, I'm bullish on it too. I'm not gonna lie. I am not. I don't think Apple is a short. We'll have to see how strong this catalyst is because they do have one. But I'm bullish on this, maybe if not today, tomorrow. I think the stock is just so strong, even with everything going on. Concerns with Apple dropping, Alex. Concerns with Apple dropping in the pre-market. Um, no, I mean, I'm not trading pre-market, so I'm not concerned with what it does right now. I'm concerned if the market open. We might need to wait 15 minutes for it to settle in. Apple can be choppy at times, or it can run. We've seen Apple do some really nice runs right out of the gate. So Apple can do anything. We just gotta wait and see what the market is gonna have for Apple here. CCL, I don't think these travel companies are in play, guys. Look at CCL right now. Volume is very light. I don't think there's just anything going on here. They're pretty much flat right now. Look at American Airlines, same thing there. The only one that we'll be waiting for is really BA in the next couple of, well, that just could take weeks and months, really, with their plane crash, unfortunately. So we'll see. I'll tell you this much. I personally think it was not equipment because I think by now you would know something. At least some people would. Who knows? And this thing would have been a lot lower. But I think there might be some mechanical error or pilot error. We'll know in the near future. It was suicidal. Propeller, you sure? I haven't
could have
read
been,
this.
but we don't know yet.
Okay. It's weird. There's no mayday call. These planes don't just drop. They give you time to at least make a
Yeah.
call. Put in your squad number for emergency. Doesn't happen like that. So it's weird. Very, very weird.
Yeah, that's the suspicious part, especially if there was some kind
yeah.
of a control problem. The fuselage seemed to be mainly intact
Right.
until
Right.
impact, based on videos I saw. I mean, maybe I couldn't tell, but I mean, you'd have long enough to alert some kind of a problem going on, a mayday call, as you said, change your transponder.
And if the fuselage would have popped, it would have disintegrated and not fall the way it did. Like, this thing came straight down like a missile. It would have disintegrated. It would have been pieces all over the place. It's just, it's man, just strange. Does CGC have a catalyst? Well, the whole POS sector has a catalyst. That was last week, right? And they're going again for, what is the norm? They're looking to get
What's that?
A CGC. It's not their individual catalyst, just an overall.
It's the industry legalization in the
yeah.
U.S. and federally is the rumor.
So that's what happened last week.
I'll
That's what we
remind
had
everybody
this pop.
that we've been down this road before. They've done this. It was approved in the House and blocked in the Senate. So
we'll see how this goes here. All right, guys, 9:10. Let's see what our moderators are watching this morning. If there's any other questions, you guys are pretty quiet today. It's Monday, so I know we got to get the engine started, but let's see what our moderators are watching this morning. I'm gonna bring this over here, resize this, and then bring this over. There we go. For those that are on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very, very much. Let's disable this here so you guys don't get the mirror effect. And we will bring this watch list over. See what our moderators are looking at this morning. All right, here we go. Oh, that's too big. There it is. All right, excellent. All right, guys, let's take a look here. We have, starting with Mike, he's looking at Baba, NVIDIA, and Apple. Jared, Apple, Tesla, and Riot. Secondary list, Tilray, SPY, and natural gas plays. Susan is looking at Tesla and Apple. Secondary list, Oxy and Riot. Tiffany, Tesla, Apple, and NVIDIA. We'll look at NVIDIA. We haven't checked that one out. I see a couple of you guys have that one on there. Dima is looking at Bobby, Oxy, XBEV, and Apple. Megan, Netflix, AMAT, and Lucid. What is Lucid up to? We'll look at that one as well. Potential longs for Eamon. He's looking at IBM and Nike, and then potential shorts, DK&G. No SPACs, no IPOs. And Peter's list, AMD, Apple, Neo, Tesla, Baba, C, and a Citigroup, and here Tilray as well. So that is Peter's list. Let's take a look at a few here. NVIDIA, I saw a couple of moderators looking at this one. Yeah, it also looks really good, actually. Very similar to what Apple has as far as activity. So yeah, it could be a good one to have as a secondary. NVIDIA went to a spam of a couple of I want to say 3-4 months where it traded so well. It hasn't really done that the last couple of weeks, but we'll see here. It traded really, really good. Then here, what else we have? There's another one too I wanted to look at. That was I just lost it. It was Nvidia and Lucid. Lucid from Megan. Let's see what's going on with Lucid. All right, so pretty much flat right now, but we'll see. Kind of hitting this previous day close. I see what you like on here. As far as the daily, looks pretty decent. It's got okay volume, 443. I would like to see more on Lucid, but we know how quickly that can pick up, for sure. I have Neo here as well, which has incredible volume. This will be a top possible for me also. 1.9 here, million shares traded. This thing's up 1.2, so looking very, very good there this morning. Oscar's comment about that. Yeah, that some people thought that it was possibly set up. I don't think that was set up. That was that looked pretty real to me. Okay, we are set here. How long? How many seconds? 6 months. Sound.
They're talking. Somebody over there mentioned a piece of the plane was found 6 miles from the crash. It's not surprising. That plane's not designed to go that fast. It's going to break off, most likely wings, engines, stuff of that nature. Yeah, but the fuselage looked largely intact at impact.
Yeah,
but even if 6 you said the wing, yeah. But I mean, as fast as that thing was going, if the wing came off and would drop essentially where it came off, move forward a little bit, but it's excuse me. It would not very far, and then the rest of the fuselage would keep going. Makes sense. If the wing came off and that was the cause of the crash, they would have radioed that in.
Yeah, no, and it wouldn't be 6 miles away, guys. This thing was flying at 30,000+ feet. The distance would have
29.
Been, so this thing would have been more than 6 miles if it had broken up at that high altitude. It would have been easily 15, 10 miles, 20 miles easily with the speed. But we'll wait and see. Guys, we're pretty much set here 9:13 to get this week started. So far, recap our watch list here. Tesla, it's just incredible right now. Definitely in play. One of the top ones on our list this morning. We have XBEV here, which had earnings this morning, and they're up 2%. Some decent volume for them. I'm also looking at Neo. Neo's looking decent as well with some good volume also. We have Oxy on deck, again, starting to drop a little bit here. They're down 3.3. I love their daily, and this one's probably the better of the oil companies, energy plays that we have here. BYD, I mean, this is down 6.7. I just don't know how great this is going to trade. What we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, BYD might be one to move down. I'm going to fine tune this a little bit later after this, but BYD, I'm probably going to move that down. I'm probably going to move like an Nvidia or a Neo up. I'm probably going to do that with BYD. CGC here, guys, just keep an eye on the POS sector, just the overall area there, see what happens. And then we have Apple, which is amazing volume today, 2.5 million shares traded. They're up 1.5, which just, and again, every time I pull up this chart, I just cannot fail to mention the daily on this. We're an incredible daily. Looking forward to see how this is going to end today when the bell rings at the market close. Guys, thank you so much over on YouTube for joining us. We are going to continue live in our chat room here with the live trading. So if you haven't joined us yet and you want to do so, you can do pre-market 24 and you get access to 2 different chat rooms, the main chat, and also you get access to Edge chat. So definitely check us out. We will see you tonight on the onboarding class at 7. Have an amazing trading day. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.